Welcome to the Heartification Podcast, where I interview people on how art has affected their lives and what it means to them. Art has a very special place in my life. It not only makes me feel happy, but it allows me to make others feel special. This podcast is all about how art has made an impact on others' lives, for all ages, all backgrounds, and all walks of life. You can find more about this podcast guest in my show notes. Without further ado, let's welcome my next guest. She is the founder and CEO of Allegory Inc, speaker and author. Please welcome my next guest, Christina Harbridge.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
And everyone has to admire her art behind her for just a moment because it's absolutely stunning.
Thank you. So the first question I always ask is, how do you define art?
Okay, start with the hard questions first. I love it. Art is a thing that happens right before a feeling that's hard to describe in words. So art is a feeling. So folks will often look at art and experience a feeling that they're not getting anywhere else, or that they had, that they forgot that they had. So art is that medium that creates that feeling that's really hard to describe.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, my definition is any way you're able to express yourself and put what you're feeling onto, if it's a visual, or onto a canvas, or into your dance, or into your song. So I totally agree with you on that.
Absolutely. And the folks experiencing that art then feel something physiologically or emotionally. A friend of mine, incredible artist, had this crumpled up painting in his warehouse in the corner, and it was dusty. And we had some folks come through, and I showed everyone the painting, and this woman was like, I have to have this painting, and offered him a ridiculous amount of money. He goes, oh, that old thing? You can have that for free. And I'm like, dude, you just messed with her feeling. You gave her a feeling that she wanted to pay for. It wasn't whether or not you felt you had put enough effort into it. She wanted that feeling on her wall.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing how different people can connect with different paintings and different dances or songs based on what they're experiencing, what they have experienced, what situations they've been in, who are the people they surround themselves in, and how they connect with that painting and how they interpret it, which I think is really cool.
So cool. Yeah.
Even with poems as well, everyone interprets it a different way based off of their experiences.
Yes, it's so true. And this is what I love about street art, is that I used to go around taking pictures of graffiti, is what people used to call it, because every day it was a visual poem that would change as people added to it. Just absolutely definitely. Stunning.
Yeah. And what art forms are you exposed to?
I use art as a mechanism for social change. So I would say there is no art that I don't think that I'm not involved with. So definitely music. I'm a welder and a fabricator. So I do the welding for a big 40-foot sculpture. I've done a lot of performance art in the background, political and social satire. I was an academic swing dancer. I really believe in using art, the landscape, the public landscape, as an art space. So I've helped projects like the Bay Lights, which is, we put 25,000 LEDs on the Bay Bridge in San Francisco. It's Leo Villarreal is the artist. It's absolutely stunning. Transform the whole city into art. Defenestration, which we put furniture on the outside of a building in San Francisco. So I think all mediums.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you coach female political candidates. How does creativity help you with their messaging?
There's a couple, so people running for office, women in particular running for office, there's a lot of different ways. Women often are running for office because there's something that they want to improve. So they're really driven by a something. So it's either that they want clean water or solar panels on every home to have more equity. There's usually a driving, compelling narrative. So they're not running for office for the fame or the money. They're running because they want something in their community to better. And so there's a lot of ways to do social change. art and creativity is a way to ease people into change in ways that can create a movement. And so when we're working with political candidates, they often have an incredible sense of humor. They're super creative. And so we have them tap into that real authentic part of them that they are with their closest friends on a good day. The real woman is more electable than anything else fabricated. So we help political candidates get connected with that artistic, creative side of them that they are with their friends. Like if you think of how you are with your friends, you probably are silly and humorous and joyful. So we bring that to the campaign trail. And it really does work because voters then can find themselves in the woman, in the movement, and then join to make that thing happen.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. And I think it's important to be yourself, anywhere with anybody and not just be someone who you aren't, just to fit in or just to get people to like you.
And I think you're right. And I'm glad that you've learned that at a young age, because a lot of the consultants in politics are crafting women. They're criticizing the genius right out of them. And so we teach women, the real you is so much more electable than anything crafted. And that's typically funky, creative, it's interesting.
Yeah, I love that. And there once was a time where you almost lost your company, which was in the collections area. So how is art a part of getting back up?
Oh my goodness. It's like, which time did I almost lose my company? Being an entrepreneur, so I've started a few companies, and there's always a lost story in entrepreneurship, because so much of many of the reasons why people start a company is they're trying to change or disrupt something. So they're creating something that doesn't exist already. And that comes with risk, and with risk comes failure. And so I guess I'm trying to think of which one I want to tell you about. We had a attorney go after us and sue us for the way that we were collecting debt. We were collecting debt by being nice. And he said that you can't be nice. That's being deceptive. And so we did a whole bunch of cartoons and newsletters about it. We turned it all around and kind of made fun of it, about us being the Delilah of the collection business, wooing people. And we started sending it to clients. It got out to the general public. And we played with this concept of what our basic values were. And we were able to take a really hard situation that might have knocked us out, and we created a movement around it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you're being creative with the cartoons and the newsletters and stuff like that. And I think it's really important to be creative in your business and in life as well, because if you're looking for a client and they're looking at your business, they're going to want something that's different from all the others, and they're looking for something that has you in it and different, or else it's just going to be the same old boring thing.
Yeah, I think so. And as long as it's steeped to some sort of value. And so this playfulness was part of our identity. So the way that we would get clients is we would tell the prospect that we were the last person that talked to their customer, therefore they should care, that it should be done in a kind way. And then we would have them call their collection agency that they used at the moment. And so just listen to how they answer the phone. Now call ours. And you could tell that they would feel the negativity with the one they were using now, but then when they called us, it was a breath of fresh air. So this art and creativity really drives our values when there's alignment. And so playfulness was a huge part of what we were doing in the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. And a part of that success in overcoming that situation was hiring people who loved their job. So how did you allow your employees to be creative to collect from people who owed money? And can you give me a couple of examples?
So everyone I hired that I was lucky enough to have come work with me had some sort of creative outlet. It's interesting. So everyone had this creative piece of them that they loved interacting with humans because it helped them form their art. And so it was a big piece of everything that we did. We We got a San Francisco Beautiful Award. I'm sorry, we got a San Francisco Award for the Business Times for being like an enterprise. I can't remember the name. It was some big award. So we had, there were 3 CEOs that were up to win the award. We had a hula hoop off. So we, the other 2 CEOs that were nominated, we challenged them to the real test of business acumen, meet us outside with hula hoops, and whoever's the best hula hoop is the real winner of this award. Because we knew we wouldn't win the award. We were a tiny company. It was hilarious. The CEO of one of the companies came with a fez hat with fishing line holding his hula hoop so that he could hula hoop. We had about 300 people show up for this like silly, playful thing. And so anything that we did, we involved art or play in it.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's hilarious.
Yeah. We had, anybody could call a dance off. So, in the middle of the day, somebody could blast their favorite song. And while we were working, we had to get up and dance to it. We had a lot of pranking, a lot of like just art, drawing. We often were drawing in the break room and playful. Yeah. So it was a big part of our culture.
Yeah, that's awesome. You think it's important to have, art in your everyday life there where you can, express yourself and, just have fun sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. And I see writing as a form of art. So do you feel you were able to express yourself while you were writing your book?
Express myself there was a lot of crying. Writing a book was not easy for me. So I am not a great writer. I'm a good verbal storyteller. So what writing a book was how that felt like art to me is I was able to do all the storytelling, remember these examples that I really love, that I love to tell, and then connecting weird things. So I really love art that connects things to each other in a sort of ironic, playful, or soulful way. And so I was able to, verbalize it all and then write it all down and then hire somebody who could make sense of it to make it grammatically correct. Because definitely that was not my strength. Writing was hard for me, I have to say.
Yeah, well, at least, expressed yourself and, let out what you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm glad I did it. And I write a lot. It's become my way of getting this stuff out of my head.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I think that's a really important thing that people need to do, journaling, or even if they don't really enjoy writing, songwriting, or dancing, on a daily basis, you should be able to free yourself from all the pressure and stress of work and school. And
has your dad introduced you to the artist way? Have you seen the book, The Artist's Way?
I don't think so.
I love this book. It has a process you go through to tap into more of your creativity. It's called The Artist's Way. Highly recommend it.
Oh, wow. Maybe I'll check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a thing about doing these morning pages that are ugly first drafts. It's a good book. I think you'll like it. It's super old. It's been around for decades, but it's a good one.
Yeah, well, I'll check it out. And art can be therapeutic and it can help people through some difficult situations. So has art ever helped you through a difficult situation?
I think daily. Every day I have a rule that I have to make something artistic. So if you go to my house, all the light switch covers have like weird, can you see behind me?
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
All my light switch covers. So everything in my house is covered with random stuff, because I just feel like the more it's a therapy to make something bad, to just make something without overthinking it. And another example, I really believe in the intersection of personal therapy, like being okay, but also doing social justice work, helping others, that I think art is all tangled up in that. So years ago, I was at an event that talked about how many kids in San Francisco and how many kids in the United States were dying from guns in homes. And so my brother Sean died from a gun in our home when I was a kid. And I've had a lot of therapy and it's super painful losing him. He was 12 and I was 6. And so I got with these artists and there was no bike furniture. That's what it was called, allowed in San Francisco. There were no bike racks in San Francisco. So we got with these artists and the Boys and Girls Club, and we developed a program. And this was my therapy for, the loss of my brother. We took kids in the Boys and Girls Club and we taught them art and how to get away if someone has a gun. So how to get away and still look cool. Because a lot of what's happening is if you're somewhere and that happens, how do you get out and still keep your credibility as a cool person? So we were teaching them that. We had them design bike racks. And so they designed these beautiful bike racks. And then we had people turn in guns and we melted the guns into the bike racks. So it was this whole way of teaching kids a skill of how to get out of a gun, making art. And a lot of those kids continued on doing art because they didn't realize they had the skill. Everybody has the skill of art. And then taking some of the guns out of the hands of people, melting them and making these beautiful pieces of arts. It was I think art is an incredible strategy for therapy. And it helped a lot of the kids who have had gun violence do something with it, do something good with all the pain that comes with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really great you're doing that. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Yeah, sad.
Yeah, but it's really cool how you got creative and melted the actual guns into these bike racks. Who would have thought of that?
Yeah, and there was a gentleman whose idea that was. He worked at a foundry and his name is escaping me. And I love connecting weird things together. So he was doing that. Boys and Girls Club wanted to teach this gun safety thing. I wanted to do this environmental stuff with bike racks because I couldn't believe it. So I just mushed them together. So a lot of my art is just mashing things together.
Yeah,
so that
that's
it all,
awesome.
Yeah.
And are you attracted to any particular artist?
You mean like a specific person?
Yeah, a specific painter or singer or dancer, anyone.
So many. There's a San Francisco artist, Dana Albany, who does incredible found object sculpture, huge sculpture. Lula Godse, who is a street artist. She's actually really good. Amy Critchett, this woman who just created this Works for Good where she takes artists, puts their stuff on silk scarves, and then people can buy these works of art to wear around their neck, and then 30% of the proceeds go to feed the hungry. So it's such a beautiful art form. What she's doing is she's helping these 3 different avenues. Everyone wants to give really nice, high quality stuff. Naya Waheed, I don't know if you know her.
Don't think I've heard of her.
She's a poet. Her book, Salt, got to tell your dad to get you that book. She's so talented with words. She has a poem that says, never put clothes on your words. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, she's super talented. So those are some of them. Ron English, he's an artist in New York. He does a lot of street art. I like his stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are you attracted to any particular art form?
I think mashups. I really like things mashed up. I like when there's a lot of layers of context. So I was never really into cubism or that's just not my thing. So if you look at, here, I'll show you this piece on my wall. So that.
Oh, wow.
I'm just really into, just things that are mashed up or not straight edges or planned like that. That's on this piece of linoleum with linoleum flakes. I don't know if you can see her. So I like things that are found objects that are kind of put together in a new form. That's why I love Dana Albany. It's all found objects into something beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. And I saw this one artist, I think on TikTok. I don't remember her name, but she took different pieces of trash, I think old newspapers and cigarette butts, and she glued them to a canvas to create like, I think it was faces. And I was just like, wow. Who would have thought that all this, like, old paper and used cigarette butts and all of this stuff could be used to create something so beautiful?
And that's most of the art that I do is found object. And it was it started in just poverty, being an artist and not being able to buy all the fancy material. But now it's just become I love it. I love recreating things into something like my light switch covers. Like, why are light switch covers so boring? Why would any house, it's a little perfect little frame that you can make art on.
Yeah, definitely. And my heartification project is all about giving back to the community, specifically to those with disabilities and illnesses. So how do you give back to the community?
As much as possible. So there is an incredible organization in Oakland called, why can't I remember it? Whenever I get on the video, my brain stops working. Creative Growth. So Creative Growth is an amazing organization that takes adults with neurological differences and teaches all different kinds of art. And it is unbelievably incredible. And they have this huge event every year to invest in these humans making magical art. So we invest in that. The work with the Boys and Girls Club, teaching kids art. So that really matters to me, that when we go inside a community to help, that we're helping kids come up with some way of expressing themselves and using their skill. So giving back to a community really isn't giving back. It's kind of like, yes, we're helping people, but the mix up makes the art better. And so one of the reasons why I got involved in the Bay Lights is there's so many kids that want to see art that are never going to go pay $30 to go to a museum. But if they have a giant bridge that they drive by every day that changes all the time, they're going to get inspired by that art. So the more that art is accessible to me, that's what giving back, it's a big part of giving back. But we get more than we give.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how would you like people to get in touch with you?
If you're on Instagram, there's a link tree in my bio that has all the ways to get in touch with me, or you can just DM me on Twitter or Instagram.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Remember, if you want to find out more about this guest, please go to my show notes where I have all the links needed. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to my podcast series and help me by sharing it, leaving a rating, and a comment. I hope you join me on my next podcast. Bye for now.